ADHD diagnoses in the United States for school kids has increased by 43% in less than 10 years. Numbers are highest among girls, with a 55% increase, and Hispanic children, 83% increase in ADHD. That's attention deficit hyperactive disorder. And that's according to research from George Washington University's Milken Institute School of Public Health. Christina Di Bartolo is the research program coordinator at the NYU Child Study Center. It's great to see you.
Good to be here, thanks.
George Washington didn't address what might be behind the skyrocketing, a 43% increase in fewer than 10 years. And this only goes back to like 2010. When we're looking at these numbers, what possibly could lead to the spike that we're seeing in ADHD diagnoses?
It's a great question, and I think the first step we want to take is to be really clear on what the numbers show. So something like a 55% increase in girls, which you noted that was the highest percentage increase, is still a percentage of about 4% of the population to 7% of the population. It's still high, and that's still a lot of kids that we need to help, but keeping in mind what the original numbers are and then what these increases mean is important.
So for girls specifically, what would teachers, parents, doctors be noticing that might lead to the diagnosis of ADHD?
Such a great question. So in the paper, they're really careful not to do a lot of causation, but we can look at the environment that's going on today and maybe make some educated guesses. For example, there's a lot more testing for children at a lot younger ages. And so with these increased demands, we're seeing really what could be a typical childhood behavior, the need to move around, the need to get recess, the need for some extracurricular activities not being taken into account.
And for Hispanic kids, I know that there's been a big push to hire bilingual healthcare providers. I'm sure that it stands to reason that that would be happening for school nurses and school psychiatrists and things like that as well.
Yes, and so in this case, actually, the increase could be something positive, where I've had parents come to me saying things like, the school says I need to medicate my child because their English or the way this was received was that they thought the school was saying one thing when really the school was saying another. So if we have actually better communication to our Hispanic population, that's actually a good thing, and more kids being able to get help.
Christina, when we're talking about the environment, are there environmental factors that you as an expert go, whoa, parents need to stop and take a look at this?
Yeah, so some scary ones that are often intertwined are screen time and sleep time. So what happens is devices are now available everywhere. They emit blue wavelength light that suppresses melatonin production and makes it hard for kids to sleep. We know that when kids aren't getting enough sleep, the next day they show behaviors that look like ADHD symptoms. So there's an issue with kids these days in our go, go, go society. They're
and younger, that even babies now know how to swipe on an iPad.
They're getting all kinds of screen time and all kinds of not enough sleep time.
Okay, so finally, I mean, it's normal for kids to have a lot of energy, to be what parents consider hyperactive, or not to have long attention spans. What differentiates ADHD from what's normal in kids?
Great point. We don't want to pathologize childhood. The thing about ADHD is these kids are going to be much more active than their peers. They're going to be much less attentive than their peers. And we see it across multiple domains and settings. It has to happen at home, at school, in their after-school program. It has to be across the board that we see these kinds of behaviors. And we're looking for functional impairment. Are these kids struggling?
Wait, so if they can sit still for the whole Cars movie, maybe there's not a problem?
That's an excellent point.
Christina, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.